Happy New Year, Eli.
Happy New Year. I'm glad that we're back on the pod. It feels good to have a 2021 episode already fresh out the gate, you know?
Yes, sir. Yes. So as we record this, today's January 1st. It is 6:45 p.m. The time is probably not that necessary for people to
Yeah.
know, but today's January 1st.
We have
Hoping
been in the new
to
year for 18 hours, almost
Yeah. Well, if
19.
you're in Central Time, aka the best time,
The
if you're
OG
in Central
time
Time.
zone. The best, the end all. Yeah, not really, but I'm going to call it the OG time zone.
Time zone to end all time zones. It is the
Exactly.
best time zone. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm hoping I shouldn't say anything, but I will say it. I'm hoping that this episode comes out tomorrow. The second, worst case scenario, it comes out the third. I'm doing a little bit of traveling tomorrow.
Mm.
At least I think we're doing some traveling tomorrow. But yeah, hopefully it comes out tomorrow or the day after. Just right out the gate, fresh, new year, new pod, 2021. We're here now. The nightmare of 2020 is over. I think people are really expecting a lot for this year in a way that people are using rhetoric for the new year that I have never heard them use before in my
Yeah.
entire life.
I've seen celebrations. I don't know, like, because I was in. I'm in Austin right now, Austin, Texas, and
Yep.
I saw, I saw more fireworks, more, sparklers, more lights, more celebration, in general yesterday than I think I've ever seen for a New Year's. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that many fireworks in the city of Austin. Yesterday I actually drove from Houston to Austin, and even along the way, it was just like fireworks in these random small towns. I think people are just really, looking for. I think that people were looking for a positive start to the decade last year, and when we didn't get that, I think that people are kind of just wanting to have like a restart. And I get that a lot. Like,
Yeah.
things have not been personally horrible for me, but like, just looking out and seeing the country and seeing all the events that have happened this past year, I totally understand wanting a bit of a fresh start.
Yeah. I mean, I think a fresh start in the personal sense. I mean, there's pretty much no indication right now that like geopolitically or
No.
health wise that anything is going to be better immediately, in the next coming months. But I think it's still good for people personally to have that mind reset for themselves, at least for the month of January. Keeping that energy through to the end of the year is basically an impossible task. I mean, it is so hard to carry that through to the end. But I think this year people are going to want to do that. I mean, 2021 has a lot of promise. There's a lot of optimism. People are optimistic. Obviously, it depends on where you are in life and everything.
Yeah.
New Year. On the flip side, New Year's is a very difficult time for a lot of people.
Yeah,
right? Another
yeah.
year, people tend to view it, in terms of aging or in terms of another year lost potential or what have you, and that's tough, right? There's certainly a lot that we can say on this kind of topic, but I think keeping it grounded to where we both are at in our lives, in our respective lives, is a good way to start here.
I think that, like, what you said about the geopolitical stuff, or about, like, it's not like anything's different, not specifically with geopolitical, with anything, I think that it's true. Like, at the end of the day, January 1st, 2021 is just another day, it's just another day on the calendar. There's nothing really special about it, just another trip around the sun. And this is where we decided to, choose the cutoff point, right? But I don't know. I agree with that for sure, but I don't know. It just does feel like, and you were talking about, like, this is a happy time, but this is also can be a sad time. And I kind of like how I kind of do it is it's kind of like a valley for me. It feels like it's just kind of like, getting closer to the, like, before New Year's, like yesterday, I was kind of in like a kind of a sour mood, like kind of in like, another year wasted, another year, like, look, what have I accomplished this year? It hasn't been, I haven't accomplished all the things I wanted to accomplish. But then, I think that as soon as the new year rang in, it was kind of went back up of like, hope for the like new year as opposed to looking back on the past year. Not that this year was, particularly horrible for me, and especially considering everyone else, what a lot of people are going through. It was not particularly bad for me, but it is just always, I think always for like at the end of the year, I always just kind of have a bit of a, just kind of looking back and just being like, oh man, this year it's gone and came and gone,
Well, I'm curious, Eli. What had you sour yesterday, or during the New Year's Eve time period?
I think it's just kind of like, I don't know, like you work so hard for a year, and there's been it hasn't been, again, has not been a horrible year, but I don't feel like I've accomplished a lot of the things that
Hmm.
I was wanting to accomplish. It's mostly just that it's not really, and I just don't really feel like, or at least yesterday, I think now I feel a little bit better, but yesterday I didn't feel like really where I was. I didn't feel like I was where I wanted to be, with graduating soon, with, school, with mostly just like career stuff. I just didn't
Yeah.
feel like I was where I wanted to be exactly. And, looking at it rationally, I feel like much more, okay, I'm doing well. Like I've got my stuff figured out relatively well, but it just, you kind of don't look at it rationally, I think, because rationally, like I said, January 1st, 2021 is just another day.
It is a good opportunity for, like I said, for a reset. I mean, everything is arbitrary, right? The calendar is arbitrary.
Yes.
When we decide a new day starts and a new day ends is arbitrary. But,
Yeah.
these arbitrary conventions, they still define our social lives. They still define
Exactly.
everything, right?
They have meaning because we gave it to them.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly okay to hold on to that, and to decide, hey, you know what? January 1st, 1/1, that is the start. That's a brand new plate that you can start off, and, start
Kick off the
serving
new
your
year.
food.
Yeah.
Start plating your food on the new plate, and
Yes. Fresh.
hopefully by June, you still have some food on your plate.
Yeah.
This analogy is going nowhere. I'm sorry.
So
But,
is
yeah.
food just I wanted you to explain the analogy, the metaphor.
No,
a little bit.
no, please,
no.
no.
Okay, I guess we're just blowing past that metaphor.
I'm sweating. I'm sweating up a storm with this analogy.
You just
I hate it.
dived into that, and then you just had no intention of coming back out.
No, man.
I
it's
do
not
that
gonna-
a lot too. But yeah, I mean, especially like right now, this period of time, it's just like, it's a really weird period of time, really like unprecedented period of time, right? And I think
Yeah.
that, there's just, it's an arbitrary date, but like we need a restart, and I think that it might as well be this. Might as well press reset today. Press that little reset button and get it going today.
Yeah. So before we really dive headfirst into 2021 and talking about the new year ahead, what we both want you to talk, we definitely wanted to talk about New Year's resolutions, talk about setting up for a successful 2021, what that means personally, and even for society and for the world at large and everything. But let's dial the clock back just a little bit. Let's stay in 2020 a little longer, and let's do a little bit of Christmas follow-up. I know at the end of the last episode, we talked about our feelings around the holidays and what's been going on, what Christmas means to us and everything. Let's do a little bit of Christmas follow-up, because I think that matters. I think that's still pretty Christmas
relevant.
is like if you're a Christian, I guess, person.
I
it's a
think
pretty.
This is a cultural holiday in the U.S. too.
Yeah, at this point, it definitely is.
the malls are still decked out with their Christmas whatever decor.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely it's still relevant. Yeah, and I
It's
think
pretty defining holiday. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that kind of, I got, kind of follow up to last episode. I think I got jumped a little bit more into the holiday spirit as the day actually came.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it was. Like, it's, nothing changed. It didn't get any colder. It didn't get any, although now I'm back in Austin, it is a lot more wintry weather, I think, even though I'm currently wearing shorts.
It did cool down here significantly.
Oh, yeah?
Since we last spoke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get that too much in Houston, but now that I'm here in Austin, it's, it's much, it's like, 50s, I think. But like I said, I'm still wearing shorts because we're in Texas. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's, I did get a little bit more into the holiday spirit. I think just, I saw, like, I didn't see too many people because of the situation that we're all in. But
Right.
my two uncles came by and we had dinner outside, and I think that just that kind of moment of being, in this kind of situation with your family, with your, close relatives that, you don't really exactly get to see very often.
Yeah.
I think that makes me feel a little bit more holiday spirit, a little bit more festive, a little bit more hopeful and joyous. That's kind of what Christmas is supposed to be associated with, is kind of joy.
Yeah.
And I definitely felt a little bit more family and kindred once and obviously, there's nothing like seeing presents under the Christmas tree,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, absolutely. I
and
mean, if you're
giving.
into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like the season of giving, and like I think I really felt when I gave, my mom, my dad, my brother, their little presents, like even though it was just not a huge deal, I definitely felt, I definitely felt happy to do it, and happy, like I felt like warm inside, like to be able to show, because I'm not really a super materialistic person. I don't think that they necessarily are either, but it's more about the thought.
Yeah, I definitely am. No, no.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think that, I don't know. Maybe I think everyone's a little bit more materialistic, maybe than they seem to, or they say that they are. But I think we're all trying to be a little bit less materialistic, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's the seasons of giving. It's like the holidays are about giving gifts, and like you can kind of critique that as much as you want, but it's still, it's nice to show people that you care about them, I think.
Yeah, and definitely as you get older, that warm feeling for the holidays it kind of switches around to being old enough to be able to like buy that perfect gift for somebody, and
Exactly.
that they're gonna love, that their eyes are gonna light up when they open it and everything. I mean, that is just an irreplaceable feeling. I think when you're a kid and you're not expected to, at least for me and my family, I wasn't expected to start really looking for gifts for my family until I was like 10 or 11.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the same in your family, but in my family, like, you're not really expected to do that until you're old enough to be like a thoughtful person, which is like 10 or 11 years old.
I didn't start giving gifts to my family until I was like working, so I was like 15, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I always felt bad, like asking my parents for money and then just getting them a gift with their own money, and like, and I think when I was younger, my dad would like, we would go in on our gift for our mom together, and like I think that same thing with my mom, like we would go in on a gift, like they just write my name at the bottom. My brother and our names. But yeah, now 15 was when I was kind of like, okay, I'm gonna like get gifts for my parents.
My mom tended to be the one that helped me with most of my shopping, and she would give me money to help pay for that stuff. And obviously the expectation was not that I was getting $200-$300 gifts for all of my family members, right?
Get your dad an Xbox.
Yeah, getting my sister a PS5 or anything like that. Yeah, that was not the expectation. I would like to be at a point where I could consider thoughtful but lavish gifts for the people that I love. I am not at that point. Obviously, and still that is not the reason for the season.
Yeah.
But it is a nice thing to do among adults, especially. I think anyway.
Yeah, I feel more connected. Like you're saying, like before you were giving gifts, like when you're younger, like like I said, until 15 I didn't do it, and I feel like it wasn't until I started giving the gift I felt really connected, because otherwise you're just kind of like gimme, and like you're just kind of like, oh, this is awesome, but. I'm glad that like it's a two-way street. You don't want to just have a one-way street in any kind of relationship, it feels like, or any kind of dynamic, I think.
Yeah, and it's definitely another thing. It's definitely one thing to just buy stuff off of somebody's like wish list, and it's another thing to really look for that thoughtful gift that they're not expecting. That or even kind of like a risky gift that you don't know if it's going to pay off or not. You don't know if they're going to like it or not. I mean, there's something to that as well. That it's all. I mean, the whole reason why life is worth living is to have these like emotional experiences, and around the holidays we tend to assign that emotional value to them, and to so thusly I think we should enjoy it. We should enjoy the receiving. We should enjoy the giving. We should just enjoy the season that sort of like allows us to do that, because otherwise it's not super like socially common to just give gifts out of the blue outside of like a birthday or holiday season. So we should really take advantage of that. I know we ended the last episode kind of on a downer, and I think you brought up that I think you brought up that as it actually was Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, it was a little better, and I found that too. We visited my grandparents, obviously like outside distance with masks and everything. which was a lot of fun. Had a lot of great
Awesome.
conversations. Drank a little bit. Christmas Day, we kind of did something similar to that as well. And we in my house we actually gave gifts pretty late into the day, just because like the timing and schedule wise, it didn't really
Mhm.
work out. We didn't have like a traditional Christmas morning, but hey, whenever it happens, right? And it's just as magical. It's just as nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Gave a couple of gifts around. I don't know if you got anything cool that you want to share with the wrong fit audience. Anything you
I
want to talk to us about?
I got a couple of dope fits.
Hmm.
I got a couple of dope, not fits.
Okay.
I was just trying to use the name wrong fit.
It's
Like I want to incorporate it into some sort of brand thing, but
okay.
we'll work on it. That didn't
We'll
work
work
out as
on it.
well because that makes it sound like I got a bunch of clothes. But no, I got a couple of really cool things actually. Both were from my mom and dad, which
Okay.
was incredible. Shout out to my mom and dad. Thank you so much.
Shout out Eli's mom and Eli's dad. Yeah.
But the two things that I got that were really significant were both. So one was for my hobbies and one was for work, which I think as I
Okay.
get
Cool.
older now, I think that those kind of like are the only two like avenues kind of where I like gifts to go. I think, maybe
Makes
clothes
perfect sense.
sometimes, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But now it's really just like I want to be able to do my hobbies and I want to be able to do my work. So yeah, I got a standing desk, which I'm very excited for. Not a whole
Wow.
desk. It was one of those that you put on the desk and you like it raises up. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool and it's like big and like I'm looking forward to it, especially with part of the organization I'm going to be in. Or I'm going to be in a leadership position in next semester. It involves a lot of presenting, and I want to be able to like stand up and present and feel more
Yeah.
active and involved in it. So that was really cool, and I'm really excited about that. And I think I could talk about standing desks, just for a whole. It's just such an awesome thing. It's good for your posture. I have a bad back too. And it's good for it's good. I mean, it's good for your like health in a lot of reasons, but I'm very excited for that. And we spend
I'm gonna want standing desk follow up pretty soon. I'm gonna
standing
want to
desk
know
follow up.
I'm gonna want to know how you're feeling about it. I'm gonna want to know, if how it is and everything. So you keep that in mind.
We'll throw on the sheet for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that like that because that's what I'm worried about now because you're really holding me to account because I'm kind of
Whoa,
worried that
hey, I'm just asking you, live your life, and then in a month or two, come back and let me know what you think about it. That's all I want.
I know. I'm worried that
I'm curious about it.
you're gonna come back like a month later, and I'm just gonna have I have just been not using it or sitting. I want
Yeah,
to use it.
it's still in its box. It hasn't even been set up yet.
New
You've
Year's
actually been sitting
resolution.
the entire time.
I'm gonna use the standing desk.
I'm gonna find out that like next week when we record, you actually haven't like left the chair you're sitting on. You've actually been on your chair.
I've been rolling
like,
around
for
the entire
week.
Whenever I go to the store, roll in the chair. Go in the car, roll in the chair. Yeah, that's exactly it. Gotta love the
Yeah.
sedentary lifestyle, and I think in 2020 we've definitely gotten our fair share of sedentary lifestyle. Like I don't know about you, but I'll look at my phone and I'll just be like, "Oh, you walked like 1,000 steps today, or less than that." And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I remember the days when I was walking 10,000 around campus, like class to class.
Yeah.
And
Yep,
like
yep.
I'm just not moving as much, and I feel it's definitely taking the toll, and I hope that this the standing desk helps me to get a little bit out of that funk.
Awesome.
Gift number 2 was a tripod, which I'm very excited for.
Ooh,
Yeah,
sweet.
I've already used it to take some like the main thing I want it for is so I can take timer shots, basically, that I can use my camera and I can get in the shot kind of thing. And I've used it a couple times to pretty positive results. And it's a really amazing tripod too, like one of those that you can like clip on the camera and take it off.
Yeah.
And it like pans really well too. So I'm really excited about that, and I've like that's the one. Like as soon as I got it, actually for Christmas, we took a family photo. The four of us in the family. We took a family photo, and actually no, my uncles were in it. But yeah, so we took a photo together, and like I was able to get in the photo because it was a timer, and I could just like have it go, and we were outside. And it was awesome to like as soon as I got it, I wanted to break into it. But yeah, those were my two
absolutely.
like main really cool Christmas gifts.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, a new tripod. I mean, that's huge. That's mega.
Yeah, it's a dope tripod too.
Yeah, my dad. So like I have I have a tripod as well. It's not my tripod; it's my dad's tripod. But he kind of doesn't. He has a bunch of stuff that he could use for tripods, so he kind of doesn't need the one that he lent me. It's like a, I don't know what the brand is. I know that the label, it's like MX2000. I'm not sure what that is like in relation to, but it's a pretty sweet tripod. One time I almost like lost it.
Oh yeah,
I left it on campus.
Those was expensive too. Like it's not camera expensive, but it's like it's a bit expensive.
Well, yeah, and I left it on campus like overnight, and so here's what happened. Sorry. Yeah, so okay, sorry, I didn't mean to. We were talking about Christmas. We'll get back to Christmas. Don't worry. But
let me tell this story.
Really quick. Let me tell this quick story. So it was like spring a couple years ago, and for whatever reason, I was taking the tripod around. We were going to use it for something, I think in UDEMS, and in the end, we never used it. But I left it in the UDEMS. For people that don't know, UDEMS is the University Democrats, the org that Eli and I were. Well, I was in and Eli's in and everything. So it's kind of like pretty big deal in our social lives.
Yes, yeah,
but
definitely. College lives.
Yeah, yeah, huge deal. We didn't end up using it, and I didn't realize until much later at night that I had left it in our meeting room, our old meeting room, which was in the pharmacy building. And it was like 11:30 in the evening when I was at my apartment. And I was like, oh my God, I left. And I was really scared because I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know what happened to it. And if I lost it, then I'm going to have to like, it's going to be a really big deal.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I just like ran from my apartment in South Campus to the pharmacy building, which is like deep inside of campus. I just ran for like 20 minutes to get there. No. I mean, it's next to, it's next to Burdine. So yeah. Sorry, I forgot. Like I thought it was like is Burdine a street? I don't remember.
just for some context to any UT listeners, Burdine Hall.
Yeah, which is like most of the people listening.
Yeah.
I ran all the way to pharmacy, and of course it's closed, completely closed. Nothing on campus is open when you need it to be open.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm banging on the door because I see some like custodians inside, and I'm just banging on the door, and one of them comes up and opens the door. And I'm like, can I come in? I left something really critical, like in this classroom. It's on the first floor. I'm just gonna go in and out. They gave me the runaround. They didn't let me in, and I was like, can you just have some? I know.
That's horrible.
Yeah. Why? I kind of get it. You know, maybe. I don't know. I mean,
the rules are the rules, but come on, like you gotta bend a little bit.
I was, I don't know. I guess I understand, right? You can't selectively enforce the rules because. How do you determine who you lift the rules for and who you don't? You get into like you get into like profiling and stereotyping. Yeah. I totally get that. Totally get that 100%. But but it doesn't stop it from being like irritating.
Incredibly
in the moment.
irritating. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. Well, can you at least have someone go to this classroom at the end of the hall? Just look around for this tripod. It's in this long rectangular box. Just can you just get it for me? And I'll wait out here. And they went. And what was really scary was that they came back and said they didn't see anything. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe I don't trust these people to know what this particular item looks like, right? Because, if you haven't seen it, you wouldn't know, right? So I go back home and I'm like, I'm going to go there first thing in the morning. Yeah. I woke up at 5:30. I went to campus and literally this building has these doors that from afar, if they have like this red light on the side, you know that they're closed. And when they have a green light, you know that they're open. And it was like 5:59. I was walking to the door, and as I was about to like open it, it switched from red to green.
Wow!
Because it was 6 a.m. So I was like, "Oh, right there, I'm right there." So I first thing I do is I look around on the second floor just to see like if anyone, I don't know, just to look. Right? Yeah. It was on the first floor, but I'm just looking around, right? And then I go down to the first floor, and the classroom is locked. So I'm just gonna wait. I'm sitting there waiting for someone to show up, and like a half hour later, it's like 6:30 in the morning. This custodian lady shows up, and she's like opening all the classroom doors. And it was lucky that she was just doing that because not every classroom at UT is open at any given point.
No, certainly, no.
Yeah, so she opens the door to this classroom where the UDEM's meeting room is. I went in, and sure enough, the tripod was there. And that's how I didn't lose a tripod. My dad's tripod.
Happy ending.
Dad, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Yeah, now you really outed yourself. Yeah,
I was fully prepared to pay for a replacement and everything. And as far as I know, I mean, UDEMS was the last thing to happen at that building because it was like late. Our meetings went from like 8 to 9. I think they still do. So there was no risk, but still, it was not
it's out of
a
your
good thing to do.
Something expensive like that to leave your site. I had a kind of a similar run-in with actually in the UDEMS room as well, but it wasn't for UDEMS, ironically. It was my class that meets in the UDEMS room, the different UDEMS room in the student activity center. I left my marginally less expensive, actually significantly less, like probably $50 for my phone or my charger for my laptop. I was trying to, because like you said, not all classes, they don't leave the classrooms opened a lot of the times, especially for those nicer, bigger ones. So I wanted to hit it right like between the class like periods, because I was like, okay, I know that 11:45 on Wednesdays usually, like that's when class gets out or whatever time. But somehow I totally miscalculated it, or I just had no idea what the schedule's on, because I like walked in and I thought that would be empty, and there was a whole room of people, and they were like, everyone looked at me, and I'm sure
gosh,
it was in the government building, and I'm sure that someone I know was in that class, even though I was too embarrassed to look around. But so I was just like, and they were like, can I help you? And I was like, can I have a charger? And it was literally like right there on the table, because I think someone had found it and put it. And she was just like, yeah, just like professor. She was just like, yeah,
take it and please leave.
Yeah, please leave. But I'm glad that I got my charger back. Either way, so happy ending as well.
It is so weird to enter like a classroom that like you don't that is not your classroom, that someone is teaching in. Like it is so awkward to do that.
All eyes are on you, all the time,
and that you didn't expect it to be there. That the class was going to be there. And
I was just a deer in the headlights, totally. So Marco's Christmas. What did Marco get for Christmas?
Marco's Christmas. Alrighty. I got quite a few like cool like techie things. I'll stick to like the more personal stuff. I was gifted a really nice G-Shock watch from my sister.
Nice.
For those of you that know me, I'm a pretty big watch guy. I've got kind of like a small but humble and modest collection of, pretty nice, nice is a relative term, right? Of watches. I'm a big watch guy is what I'm saying. I take a lot of pride in that. And I got a G-Shock, and G-Shocks are cool. I mean, they're just so like big and like, like they're very like show me, like show offy. Have you ever, you're familiar with G-Shock
I know.
watch? Yeah. It's the first kind of like real sporty, like exercise, like, do everything kind of watch I've ever had.
Nice.
So it's pretty sweet to have that. Yeah,
those are cool because it's just like you just know like all. Is it one of those that has like the temperature on it and stuff?
Well, this one is pretty simple. This one has like this one's cool because there's no like seconds, so it's just like this thing, and you can set it. It knows all the time zones, so like it's like half digital, half analog.
Wow.
So at first I thought I was gonna have to set it manually, like you do, like you set something manually, right? Out of the box, it came like with the right time, but just in a different time zone. So I set it to, and on a watch, the time zones are usually labeled with major cities. So this one, I had to set it to Chicago because that's like the big city in Central Time. Well, it's the big city in Central Time. I'm sorry, Houston.
Isn't
it's
Houston
the big city in
anyway?
Central.
I thought Houston was big.
No, it doesn't count. Doesn't count.
It's in Texas. It doesn't count.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I love Houston, but I mean Chicago is like the city in Central Time. I'm sorry to all the Houstonians, but I'm a big fan of Houston. I really like Houston.
Space Center Houston. Travis Scott.
That's
James Harden.
True. Okay. I'm about to throw all that down. Okay. Sears Tower, Chicago. That's all I gotta say.
The Galleria.
Okay? Who?
We had our own podcast moment. All right.
So I set it to Chicago, and so this is cool. So you set it to Chicago, and the dials actually move automatically to the new time that you just set, and it's all like it's all out of the box. I'm sure out of the box, it's got like the exact like atomic time. So I didn't want to mess with it or anything.
Nice.
So set it to Chicago. At the time set itself, and you're golden. It's super sweet watch, super rugged. That's the word I'm looking for. It's big and rugged. You know that you can put that watch through anything. I'm really looking forward to like taking it out like on the bike, on the trail. hopefully like maybe we can get back to like playing tennis, racquetball, wearing a cool like sport watch. Like it was really thoughtful. I'm a big watch guy, so it was cool to have it. Um, so I got a G-Shock watch. I got a couple of really good graphic design like literature textbooks kind of thing. A few of them are oriented for people that are not like graphic design like trained professionals. Like I'm we throw around the term designer a lot, right? But it's hard to remember that like the people that are really trained for it, the people that go to college for design, I mean those guys are real pros. That like they know all the rules, they know everything about it. I am simply just a complete like amateur novice in that respect, But given that I don't really have any intention to like pursue it seriously, like in education or anything like that, I got these books to learn more. Well, I asked for the books and I was gifted them. To learn more about like the nomenclature, the principles, the theories, color theory, typography, repetition, alignment. I've actually already started reading some of them, so I know some of these terms now. So that's pretty sweet.
Terms, yeah.
Yeah. Repetition, like proximity, alignment, and all that.
I love the term typography because it's just letters, but it's a very cool word for it. Typography.
Anything that goes headfirst into fonts and what makes fonts good, what makes them bad, like how to use them for design. Like I am just all in. I love fonts.
I love that. I'm a fontophile. Like, man.
Yeah, a fontophile.
Hey.
Wait, is that legit? Like, did you make that up?
I'm making it up. I made it up. I'm gonna make it a thing.
Fontophile.
A fontophile.
Wrong fit audience. Please
Please blow it up.
Thing. Yeah, let's make it a thing. So I got a lot of really good design books, design theory, and stuff like that. Like I'm really interested. I want to learn as much as I can. And who knows, maybe in the future, like if I've got time, if I've got money, I will go back maybe to UT or somewhere to lay down like in a design curriculum or something. I would love to do that. I don't have plans to do it right now, but I would love to do it at some point in the future. But in the meantime, I got these books to kind of tide me over. And I've been reading some of them, and they're really interesting, really fascinating. I already know of like ways in which I'm going to apply it to some of the client work that I do, and hopefully I can get a job that lets me do some of that work too. If they like my portfolio enough and they'll let me do some design work, I'm that's sort of the mission. You know what I mean? And these books are really going to help me get there.
One last question. I was wondering, what's your favorite gift that you gave? Do you have a favorite gift?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say that actually the gift that I really enjoyed like selecting, it actually hasn't even arrived to the person yet.
Oh yeah.
So let's keep that a secret for now. What do you say? Yeah. I'll tell you after the show. What about you? Are you at liberty to disclose what your favorite gift to give was?
Yes, all of my gifts have been successfully given and received. So I think I got kind of how I had kind of similar situation with my family too. Is that I gave gifts to my insular family, my mom, dad, brother, but for my extended family, we kind of had a Secret Santa type situation where we each picked names for each other, and I ended up also getting my uncle. So basically, I got gifts for everyone in my insular family, and I got a gift for my uncle. I think the best of the gifts that I gave was definitely to my mom. I made like a, like I've mentioned on the show before, I'm into photography, and I made my mom one of those custom calendars with like people's picture, like all of our pictures, our family pictures, and
that's sweet.
Yeah, it was really cheap too. I thought it was going to be pretty expensive to do, like custom stuff.
Saved a lot of money on it. That's really good.
Yeah. No, it was fun to do. It took a lot more time than any other gift that I had because all other gifts you just you put it in the cart. But and this one I designed. I just kind of put the pictures and the frames on Shutterfly.com or whatever. But yeah, it was a good and I was able also to I thought this was really cool. So for every one of our family's birthdays or her friends' birthdays, I was able to find a picture either on social media or like I asked my mom for a picture, and I was able to put their faces on their birthdays. So like for on my birthday, which is coming up, like as my like I have a picture of me on her birthday, a picture of her, and like my dad's, and yada yada yada. You know.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to do.
Yeah. Ah, dude, that is so thoughtful. Now you got me thinking, like, maybe I could like design a calendar with like
That would be so
abstract
cool.
design stuff. Oh, it's too late to do it for 2021, but for 2022, it's coming around the corner. Don't worry, I'll design a calendar and you guys can buy it.
That's so cool. I love
Who
that.
knows?
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to it now.
Oh, great! Now, great. In a year, we're gonna do calendar follow up, and you're gonna ask me, "Hey, how's the calendar coming?"
See,
And I'll be
follow
like,
up. That's how we keep each other accountable. You're gonna keep me accountable about this desk, and I'm gonna keep
the standing desk. And
accountable
or
on the
calendar.
calendar accountable follow up. Okay, got it.
Calendar accountable follow up. Just rolls right off the tongue. The new year. Yeah. Well, actually, maybe we should get to 2020 wrap up.
2020 wrap
Whole
up.
year.
Let's wrap it
2020 wrap up. You know, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up. Put it in a little trash bag and set it alight.
Toss it. Toss that year.
Because I think it's no secret that for a great deal of people, 2020 was quite difficult and tumultuous. Obviously not the case for everybody, but I know that even just looking at like geopolitics and like everything that's happened and everything, you know, it has been difficult for people to process, especially. I mean, a lot of unnecessary, you know, tragedies and things like that. And to say nothing, I mean, you know, just the pandemic has been just
pandemic. I feel like that's the elephant in every room, you know, just the pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, especially here in the US, like it has permeated all aspects of our lives. And it's pretty hard to imagine a life without it now.
Yeah, what would have things been like without it? You know, where would we be? I think that's definitely an interesting question.
Well, where are we going to be?
Yeah,
you know, I think that's more what I mean, 2021 promises to. I mean, we know the expectations. Like we know that stuff is going to roll out in 2021 that is going to hopefully preempt, you know, the pandemic and help prevent stuff from happening in the future and all. But you know, we're hoping, right? We're gonna have to wait and see. But for now, let's look back on what has been a very difficult year.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe take the good with the bad and talk about, you know, what just our final thoughts on it. And before we look ahead to 2021 and talk about goals and ideas and stuff like that. But before we do that, let's just take a second to just wrap up 2020.
Yeah, totally. And you know, I think that you kind of said it well. You know, it has not been an ideal for a lot of people, ideal year for a lot of people. I saw one of my you know, a basketball player that I like, Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know if you've heard, but he has a very sad story. With his mother passed away because of COVID, and 7 other relatives passed away because of COVID, and he's like a 25-year-old guy. So super young, just now getting his career going, just, you know, super young, super successful. He said that his mom went to every single one of his games, and, you know, she passed away.
That's awful, man.
Yeah, it was such a sad story, and one of the saddest stories of this year, I feel like, with a year full of sad stories. And I saw his tweet, because I follow him on Twitter, and his tweet was, you know, from my family to you 2020, like F you. I feel like that like really sums up a lot of people's emotions, because you know, it was an incredibly liked, retweeted, shared, whatever tweet, because I think that so many people shared that sentiment. I definitely, you know, just seeing that, I was like, you know, I obviously didn't have the situation that he had. Like, there's no way that I would even compare my situation to his situation. But still, it is, you know, such, like we were talking about when we were talking about the new year, it is such a relatable, you know, situation, I feel like, to be trying to get out of this past year and move on to something new. But yeah, I think it was, you know, all in all, it wasn't a horrible year for me. There was definitely some bright spots, definitely some, you know, things I got going, things that I've started now and are you know, going to continue to go hopefully well in the future. There's a mixed bag, but it's 2020, man. You know, there's no, it's 2020. We all know what it is. We all know it's not the ideal year for everybody, I think.
Yeah, Yeah, 2020 was pretty difficult
Yes.
for me, for my family. Yeah, I mean, just alone, like the upending of our social lives. I mean, we this whole thing started in March. I was just a few months away from graduating, and like to know now with hindsight, like I didn't know that the last time I stepped out of a classroom was the last time that
Mm,
I was ever going
mm,
to step out of a classroom.
mm.
I mean, that's tough. I mean, I
It's
don't even
mentally
know.
draining. I mean, it really is.
I was struggling to like reconcile that, like as I was just like sitting in my couch like watching the graduation ceremony on my TV. It's like, wow, this is it. Like
Mm.
this is how this feeling is. I felt just completely nothing. And I know they're promising like, oh, don't worry, we'll have a real ceremony soon. I mean, at this point, I don't even know that I want one.
Yeah.
I the idea of graduating was, ethereal. It was ephemeral. Like it was something impossible, because it was so far down the road. Like, when I started in college in 2016, it felt so far down the road, but at the end of the tunnel, like there's going to be like this big, like, legit like pomp and circumstance and everything, and my family could see me graduate, and it would be a great thing. And like the way it ended, it was just completely, it's like anticlimactic. Doesn't even begin to cover it. I mean, it was
Yeah.
horrible.
I had friends that this was the first going back to graduation, because I think that was definitely a significant period of time for a lot of my friends, because I had you and several other of my friends graduated, and I heard this story about or I was hearing from my friend that she was like the first person in her family to graduate college, and she never didn't
Hmm.
even get a graduation. And that like just kind of broke my heart a bit, just to know like working so hard, and the result of her labor, her parents' labor, and probably her parents' labor to get her to this point. And she's not even gonna. It doesn't even feel real. That's just really
Yeah.
sad. A lot of moments I think didn't feel real this year.
Yeah, I'm first generation as well,
Mm,
and among my big extended family that lives here in Laredo, I am just among a handful
yeah.
that has gone and completed a bachelor's degree. So to not even have that moment,
Mm.
it felt cheap. It's not the, obviously I don't blame the university. I don't
No.
blame anything. I just blame the circumstances that led us here. It was just awful.
Yes. Exactly. And it was the right thing to do to not have a physical graduation. I think
No,
for
of
sure.
course, of
But
course, yeah.
still, it's like it's the situation. It sucks.
Again, the upending of my social life in Austin was,
Mm,
I mean, it's still something that I'm dealing with. Obviously I didn't have, like, I couldn't, there was no school for me to come back to, even
yeah.
with limited in-person classes, limited like organization activity, because I graduated, and friends that I knew in Austin that we didn't get any closure, like none of that has happened. That's hard, for a social individual. I think I'm pretty extroverted.
Mm,
I have introverted tendencies, just like I think like everyone does,
yeah.
but I
Yeah.
consider myself an extrovert, and to not have that
Definitely.
has been difficult. I love my family, but for them to be the only people I've seen for the past 8 months, I mean, I love them to death, but
Yeah.
that's hard on anybody.
Definitely.
It's nothing
Definitely.
against them. It's hard.
Yeah. You feel like you're in this like it's just a little bubble that's like you can't get out of, and you're stuck into
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I'm stuck. Yeah. No.
No. I mean, I not definitely not
No,
making
I
any
got
judgment
you.
about the people, but it's like you said, just anyone any sort of bubble that you're in, like you're stuck in that bubble, and that's just a
Yeah.
thing that we've all had to kind of get used to, I think. So yeah.
But let's bring in the good.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
My goal at the start of 2020 was I wanted to work the election cycle. I wanted
yeah.
to do some jobs after I graduated. And I did end up doing them, not in the way that I thought I would.
Mm,
I really wanted to
yeah.
stay in Austin after I graduated. Obviously, I'm back home here to ride out the pandemic, but I did end up securing quite a bit of remote work.
Mm,
This year I also became communications director for CDA, College Democrats of America, which was a pretty big moment for me.
mm,
Even if it was just for 2 months, it was huge. Definitely not something I expected when 2020 started.
yeah.
Doing 2 remote campaign jobs concurrently was pretty big. It was very stressful, but it was a very rewarding experience. I got a lot of great experience out of it. I met a lot of fantastic people,
Mhm.
all remote, of course. At
Yes.
the end of one of my campaigns, our campaign manager said a really funny joke. She said, "Don't worry. One day we'll find out if Marco has any legs or not, because they have only ever seen, because like most of the campaign apparatus was just based around one area. I was by far the person that was farthest away from it. So like they have all seen each other, in person, social distance and everything. I have not. I have stayed in Laredo this entire time. So
Yes, yeah.
they're making jokes like, "Don't worry, one day we'll find out. One day we'll see Marco's legs. We'll see his feet." And it's like, yeah, it'll happen one day.
One of these days, yeah. It's crazy. That's kind of like a weird moment to look forward to. It's like, yeah, I'm like weirdly looking forward to when your campaign can safely see your legs. Like,
Yeah, I mean for sure. And I would love to meet all of the people that I met. In person. I would love
Yeah,
to do that
it's
at some
different.
point in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a good. Either way, it was a good experience. It was a great experience for me to do that work, and I'd save some money on the side, which is always good. Because people are really struggling now, and for me to be able to stay at home and pocket and save pretty much like 95 to 100% of all the money I've earned. I mean,
Wow.
it's a real privilege, and
Yeah.
something that I really appreciate.
Yeah, and I think that everything that's going on right now, you don't really know when stuff's gonna hit the fan. Kind of random, just drops and things. And when it comes to economic stuff, I think you never know as well. That's why I've kind of been wanting to save up and maybe like do some smart investment and stuff to just kind of have a solid foundation. I talked to my dad a little bit about it this past.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely when you get older, it's like the responsibility of like, oh wow, I'm going to be an adult on my own soon, and yeah, that responsibility definitely is something that you want to meet.
Laying the groundwork for that is really tricky too, and
Yeah.
that was sort of the thing that I was like, look, doing the remote campaign work, I was not flush with cash. I did not earn hundreds of thousands of dollars or anything, but
Yeah,
I did.
6-figure salary for 2 months.
Yeah,
of
no,
work.
definitely not. But what I did earn, I was very cognizant of like, look, this is money
Mm.
that I don't need to spend. I don't have rent. I'm privileged. I'm not paying rent. I am not. I live here at home. I don't have to pay for the food. Everything, I can pocket it all and use that to like build a nest egg for when I eventually move out and start living my life and everything. And that's money that's gonna have to be used wisely. I want to hear from you for 2020. Anything that you want to reflect on, the good, the bad, the ugly, anything.
The positive, I think, I think that kind of going into that vein of like, I think that's a good transition with when we were talking about investing. When we were talking about our jobs, when we were talking about just being more independent, I think that's been a good silver lining of 2020. Is I felt a bit more independent, and working towards, like, I feel a little bit more prepared working towards that eventual date of graduation, being on my own a bit, and figuring that whole situation out. So in that respect, definitely been a successful year. Other silver linings, like, I've made some good friends, virtually, and on working on the campaigns that I worked on. I've been part of some very amazing teams and met some very amazing people. And I wouldn't give up those experiences for sure, because those were just amazing people, amazing experiences. I think that those, and with everything, it's kind of, you have to qualify it with, especially with that campaign stuff. We weren't always successful, in the campaigns that, you and I worked on. We weren't successful, across the board, but, it is good to have worked on it. It's just good work, and I think I would definitely qualify that as a silver lining, quote unquote. All right, 2021.
And now it is time for us to welcome in the new year.
The new year that we've been talking about. It feels like for the past 6 months, everyone's been waiting for the new year to start. I saw I don't know if you're familiar with the Twitter account 2020 progress bar.
Yeah, they always have a progress bar for all the years. Yeah.
Every day, like, they update of like 2020 is like 50%, 60%, however much percent done.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just watching that, slowly tick up. I think that this year has had anticipation for a new year like no other. It feels like, even though, like we discussed, it is such a arbitrary thing for a new year to start.
Well, and again, I think there are a couple ways to look at it that I think can like make or break what could otherwise be like a good or bad year, So I think if people expect the new year to like wipe away the pandemic,
Yeah.
to make politics better, to make the world that is not going to happen. Like the timetable we're on is the timetable we're on, and that
Yeah.
just because it's a new year doesn't mean any of that's going to get better necessarily. Like we know what is forecast. We know like vaccines and stuff are forecasted to be rolled out at certain points this year. We'll see what happens, or hopefully it gets here quicker than later, and we inoculate the right people at the right time. But I think the better way to look at it is, again, like that personal reset. Like, what things in your life can you control that you can make better, that you can improve your mindset on something, you can start a hobby, you can take classes, you can do stuff, right? Like I think that is the best way to look at this, and especially since for so many people last year, 2020 was such a difficult and tumultuous year. For many people, for reasons out of their control completely, right? Because of the pandemic and work from home and all these other horrible things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, again, grounding yourself in like, what can I change? What can I do in my personal life to ensure a successful year? I think that's the proper way to start.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. Just laying, like, I think we've talked already on this episode a lot about laying the groundwork, and I think that's such an important thing going into a new year, to be prepared for what is lying ahead, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I think that, say what you will about 2020. I think it's definitely prepared a lot of people for, a very tumultuous time. I think I've definitely grown up a lot. I think a lot of people have grown up a lot. And I'm ready to take that and go forward in the new year,
A lot of people, they have become, we've become accustomed to lots of new normals and new changes and everything like that. So now it's up to us, I think, in the ways that we can to like work around it, right? Like we know that we're going to be working from home for a long, most people, not everybody, of course, but we know that like if you have that kind of job, you're working from home, like, you're going to be working from home for a while, make the best of it. You know that you might be not seeing your friends for a while again, more time away from your social circle obviously you could still spend time with your friends, social distance and everything, but that close personal time that you crave that we had before that we don't have now, it'll come, but it may not come for a while. Contextualize, right? What does your life context look like and work around it, right? What can you meaningfully and significantly do to make that 2021 better for you than 2020 was, when so much of that stuff from last year was so unexpected and something we had never experienced before. Mask usage, social distancing, work from home, limits on travel and stuff like that. Like all that was unexpected. That's not unexpected anymore. Like we know the stakes, and insofar as we currently cannot like physically stop the virus from spreading and all these other horrible things from happening, like what can you do in the meantime, right? Obviously, short of violent revolution, which I would be in favor of, but this is not a political podcast.
This is not a political podcast.
This is what we do, right? So you have to live in that context, and enough platitudes and enough corporate synergy talk. Okay, let's talk about like what do we have in mind? What's the plan? What's our plan for 2021?
What's our plan for 2021? I mean, my plan right now is I gotta graduate. Like
You gotta graduate.
I gotta get out of here. I've got to graduate. I've got to get my I think independence was a bit of a theme of 2020, and I think that's a theme I want to carry into 2021. Of just working on being more independent, working on professionally getting a job. I think that the concrete goals right now are graduate and get a job. And that's definitely something I'm like worried like that when we're talking about looking back at 2020, that was definitely on my mind of things that I'm worried about in the future, 2021, not as much graduating, but more the job prospects, what that's going to look like, what job I'm going to get, if I like the job, and all that, like starting the new journey, the new chapter.
Yeah, that's a big one for me. The whole getting a real job that can pay bills and stuff like that. That is a huge priority for me. I want to. So I have really begun and started my job hunt and like the networking and everything. I've really begun that in earnest over the past week, and I'm looking.
Mm.
I'm not looking forward to it, but in a weird way, I am. Like I want to get out there and like see what the field looks like and see what I can do, like how I can make the best impression for the job that I want, and the lifestyle that I want to live for 2021. And that's a daunting task. I mean, for people like me and people in my major and everything, we're looking at minimum, applying to like 70, 80, 100 jobs before you hear back and before you know about what's going to happen. That unfortunately, that's just the way it is right now in the job market, especially now in the pandemic economy. But the jobs are there and they're out there, and I'm hoping to get one pretty soon. And
Yeah.
soon being a relative term, and hopefully the next 4 or 5 months,
Yeah.
I'll be employed. Even that could be optimistic, but hey, be optimist.
Yeah.
Be an optimist.
This is
right?
what 2021. That's what the new year is all about. That's what 2021 is all
Exactly.
about. Is being an optimist.
Exactly. And the secondary goal to getting a full-time job is moving back to Austin. That is where I want to be. When I abruptly left Austin in spring break, I just considered, that was so abrupt. I have always considered my record book in Austin to be unfilled.
Yeah.
Incomplete. I have so much more that I wanted to do, that I wanted to experience, that I wanted to see in that city. I'm a big fan of Austin. I really quite like Austin a lot. I know that it's trendy to dislike it, although a lot of very good reasons to dislike Austin, but I know it's, it can be kind of a meme among UT students to dislike Austin.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way. Obviously, I acknowledge the very serious problems that there are in the city, but on a broad level, I really like Austin. So I want to go back there and complete that chapter of my life that I think has been cut short and cut prematurely.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big goal that I have for 2021.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that I think that that's a good goal. I think I'm obviously looking forward to having you back in the city. Austin misses you, man.
Yeah, Austin misses me.
Yes,
They miss me.
Yes, Mrs. Marco Guajardo, Austin's own.
The boy.
I guess Laredo's own, but Austin's borrowing it.
Hey,
him.
yeah.
But,
okay. Yeah, I'm happy.
But yeah,
I'm happy to be
I
borrowed.
think really that's awesome, and I'm looking forward to you getting back here. And I'm looking forward to being safe for us to see each other for sure.
Yes, sir.
But yeah. I think it's good to have. I saw someone who said, one of my friends on social media posted something about like calling it New Year's intentions as opposed to New Year's resolutions, because I think that's the right way mindset to have going to it, is just to like have some intentions of what you're going to do and understand, there's some wiggle room to our goals, our situations. Things can go awry, but I think it's the right mindset to have intentions going into a new year. So yeah, those sound like great intentions and great, goals. I think that you can definitely achieve.
I'm glad you bring that up, because especially in this day and age, it is like kind of okay. I'm gonna use the word trendy again, but I don't mean that in a derogatory or in a, what's the word?
Yeah,
the word that starts with D that means bad.
Derogatory. Yeah.
No, I know, but it's not derogatory. It's something else. Pejorative. Actually, I meant the word I meant pejorative. Yeah, I don't mean that in a pejorative way. But it is trendy to eschew the idea of like a traditional resolution and substitute it for something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are all these like systems that are out there that try to get you to optimize your year, and they all kind of throw away the outdated notion of a resolution. And I agree with that to a point. I actually do agree. And I like that you said New Year's intentions. Like that is very, that feels more tangible than a resolution for sure. I do want to talk about this other one that I heard about, that I learned about last year, and I will link to this in the show notes. But there is a really great video by a pretty prominent educational YouTuber called CGP Grey, and he's pretty well known. Most people has probably seen at least one of his videos. He came out with a video last year, actually at the start of 2020, advocating for a new way to think about the new year, and that is a new year theme. Create a theme for the year that you can follow and you can keep in the back of your mind day to day, something that is tangible and something that you can actually execute day to day, that doesn't involve like a crazy big lofty goal that has to be achieved in some time frame. It's
Yeah.
more like, instead of committing to reading 100 books in a year,
Hmm.
you can substitute that with, my theme for this year is going to be the year of reading. And anything you do on a day-to-day basis that can contribute to that theme is a victory, right? So he uses the example in the video that instead of playing on your phone while you're in line at Starbucks, you can be reading something on your phone, like on a Kindle, or reading an audiobook, or something like that. That I think is a really powerful way to think about things too, because that is stopping short of like setting goals. That I think setting goals can be very daunting,
Yeah.
and I think it primes us for failure.
Yes. Yeah.
However,
Totally.
I think setting those themes, though, is a more accessible way to achieving what you want.
Mhm.
Because what you want is to read more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So set the theme being
Intention.
the year of
Yeah.
reading.
The year of reading. Yeah. Yeah. Keep it general like that.
Yeah, and reading, you could only read 5 books that year, and you will still accomplish that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And your goal being to read more, that should be the goal. Like the goal should be more actually like general and broad as to help you accomplish them.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a fine line for that, but I think that was really interesting. And obviously, CGP Grey articulates it way better than I am right now. I saw this video a couple months ago,
Yeah,
and I actually need to watch it again, because I want that to be my goal for this year. And it's good that I bring up reading as an example, because I want my theme for this year to be at least partly the year of reading.
Yeah.
For me.
That's good. I haven't been reading as much.
Yeah, I have a big stack of books. Like, I mean, to say nothing of the books that I got for Christmas that are about design and everything that I'm really wanting to read. I have a whole bunch of books on like history and politics and geography, and I have like literary classics and stuff too that I haven't even touched since I bought them 5, 6, 10 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, they look pretty on a shelf, and that's about it. That is all the purpose they've served me in life so far, and I want to do away with that. And again, it's quite daunting to say, oh my God, I told myself I would read 5 books this month, and it's already the last week and I haven't read any.
Mm-hmm.
It's better to say, I want to read more this month. I want to spend more of my free time reading. And you know whether you're accomplishing that or not.
Yeah, you have to be on top of yourself, but I think like everyone knows what they're doing, and I think everyone can kind of be their own, kind of have to be your own cop to a certain degree.
Oh boy, you said the C word.
You know what I mean.
Yeah,
that's probably not the best word to use, but you need to be on top of yourself.
You have to be your own federal regulator. How about that?
Exactly, much better. Yes, you have to be your own federal regulator. You have to be your own IRS.
It doesn't roll quite. Oh, that's better. Be your own IRS. Federal regulator doesn't roll off the tongue quite as nicely.
No,
I will link that theme year thing video in the show notes. It's really interesting. I really recommend people watch it, especially now. But yeah, we've mentioned some of our very specific goals. Like, you want to graduate. I want to move back to Austin. And then I've mentioned some of my broader goals. Have you got anything that you want to prioritize, especially for this year? Anything that you're thinking of, whether it's like exercise or health or reading or academic stuff, anything that your life could be better with an increased focus on for this year?
Going into the year, regardless of it being a new year, I've definitely been wanting to, the two things that I've been focusing on two things I've been wanting to focus on, and like what I've been prioritizing mentally, even again, regardless of the new year, have been my photography and have been exercising. I think that those two things are things that I am right now, at least, I want to keep up, and I want to pick it up and continue going for it, and going and doing the exercising and doing the photography. I think that those two goals, those are kind of like my main hobbies. I think my main like side whatevers that I do, and I think that both pay a lot of dividends, are very good for me, both to have the hobbies, but I think also to health wise, and photography, it's got its own benefits, artistic. I think it both those things I feel make me a more well-rounded person, and I definitely want to continue, and I think that pursuing those hobbies makes me more me, and that's definitely what I a theme going into 2021. I think is just trying to be more me. Yeah, I think that you got to figure out yourself.
Yeah, I mean, self-discovery is a
Yeah.
huge thing
Yeah.
too, especially for this time of year. No, I definitely agree with that, and I would love. I'm very much looking forward to see what you've got coming down the pipe,
Yeah.
especially for photography. I mean, you're crazy talented, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know, I always appreciate seeing your stuff on my Instagram, and I mean,
I've been trying to post more.
Yeah, no, you definitely should.
Yeah.
It's good that you bring that up because I have something similar that I've been wanting to do. I have been trying to get more attention, and this was something we actually cut from the show from the previous episode. But we talked about last time. It didn't make it into the final show, but we talked about like design and like the stuff that I've been doing, my portfolio and my website and stuff like that. I have been trying to get more attention onto that. Onto my design portfolio, onto the work that I do, and trying to get like more clients and more attention on it. I wanted to hear. I always post it. You might notice if you follow me on social media, you might notice that like every month and a half or so, I tend to like push my portfolio a lot because I'm really what I'm looking for is feedback. I want critical feedback. I want feedback on not just the website, like the actual layout and how everything is. I want feedback on the designs, like the stuff that I've done, like my logos, the graphics, the physical materials. I want feedback on that.
And I don't feedback. You need to build up.
I don't get enough feedback. If you're listening to the show, I'm gonna put this in the show notes. Hopefully, I don't cut this part out. I won't. But I'll put my website in the show notes. I really want more of that feedback because I want to fuel for this year another yearly theme that I'm trying to do, the year of design. Some of those design books that I got for Christmas will be a really big part of that, especially. But I want this year, I want to do more client work, just more individual, like hands-on client work with, my friends or my peers, people that I know, colleagues and stuff like that. I've got a few things that are coming down the pipe, hopefully that they'll materialize quite soon, but nothing really concrete or anything. And I'm trying to push that. And I want to get more outside attention on my work. My friends are really great. My network, as large as it can seem sometimes, it's still quite insular. It's people that know me. And, I know I have received feedback from friends and family, and like they love my work. And I love that feedback. I really appreciate them. And my friends that turn into my clients and they pay and everything, like I love you guys, 100% appreciate. I'm trying to broaden the scope though. And I think, I'm trying to do stuff that gets more outside attention for people that I don't know onto my work. And I'm starting to dabble with that lately. I'm trying to do more like wallpaper, artwork, stuff that people can download that has my watermark on it and people that gets people to my website to maybe a future like Instagram page with my artwork that I might launch somewhat soon.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's the only way you can grow is just to get those, those eyes on your work. But that's awesome, man. I hopefully I can do the same. I get feedback, but like I said, like I want. It's tough to get feedback. It's tough to get tough feedback, I guess I should say, but it helps so much. It helps so much. Feedback with anything, like even the show, we talk about our feedback a lot and how much it helps us, and I think it really does help us narrow in on what is working, what people like, what people gravitate towarto, I think.
And it's good that you bring up the show too, because I also want this to be like the year of the wrong fit. I want to put in more work on the show.
Definitely.
I want to do we kind of talked about, actually no, it got cut from the show last time. I want the show to live on my personal website. That way we have something to latch onto that can improve stuff like search engine optimization for the show, getting people that like are looking for podcasts to like come across us and have a listen. It's a very daunting task. Making a podcast popular is not easy, and it's very difficult, and there's like 1% chance of success and 99% chance of failure. More than anything, like we're doing this as like a personal fun project that like helps expand our skills, our skill set and stuff like that. But I definitely want to put in some of that effort for the show to help maybe, increase its popularity, cast a wide net for our audience and everything like that. So that is definitely another goal that I have for this year. Another, part of the theme, the year of the wrong fit. So new laptop talk. This has been on the topic sheet for a while.
Since you got the new laptop.
The new laptop, yeah. So let's talk about laptops and technology and stuff like that. I mean, I love talking about that stuff. This is not like a
It's not an
gamer
ad.
specs stuff. No, it's not an ad
Yeah.
either. But we're not gonna talk too deeply into like specifications and CPUs and hard drives and stuff like that. But
I don't know
do
that
wanna
much about that, honestly.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about my new laptop and how just it has completely like just changed everything about like the way I work and everything. I mean, it's been just incredible. Drop the battery. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I have been using an old like low mid-level Dell Inspiron for about 3.5 years. This laptop, my previous laptop, is about 3.5 years old. Got it in early 2017, and by the end of its life, it had some serious screen problems, like really bad, like completely like unusable screen.
Yeah.
And at the end, what I was doing to use the laptop was connect it to an external monitor.
Yeah.
With an HDMI cable, and it works, right? It works. But the actual laptop itself has performance, like really serious performance issues that I cannot believe that I tolerated for so long.
Yeah.
Because the OS boot time was like a lot, like at least a minute, which is crazy, which is unbelievable. And for the after you log in, for the laptop to warm up and start accepting things like application commands, like starting Chrome, for instance, or starting Spotify, or like loading Discord or something like that, was minutes and minutes and minutes, like a very long time.
That is too much.
Where I started noticing that this was not like a normal thing for, well, okay, not that it's not normal, because for these kind of laptops, like that is just like the normal everyday function, right? Because that's just, because you don't have the performance power, right? But what I mean is like in an American college, like most people have Macs. I am not a Mac person.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm not a Mac.
Yeah, and we may actually talk about Mac versus PC on the show at some point. That might be
That
an
would be a
interesting
fascinating
topic.
discussion. I would want to do some research before that, though, because
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And it's no hate. By the way, it's no hate.
Yeah,
like
different
Apple
tools for different jobs.
Apple is a very innovative company. I will be the very first person to admit that. I will be 100%. Yeah, I'll be 100% the first person to admit that Apple is a very innovative company. It's just not my cup of tea most of the time.
Yeah.
Although I think it'd be interesting to dive into why. Not on this episode, but we'll do that at some point in the future. That's a promise. We will definitely hit Mac versus PC.
Let's do it.
And we'll hit iPhone versus Android at some point too.
Okay.
I am 100% like PC, Android. I am not an Apple person. I don't like. Oh, okay. Anyway,
save it.
Let's not get there. Okay, but in American college, like most people have Macs. Apple dominates the young American demographic.
Oh yeah, totally.
Outside of that, it is 100% like PC Android world. Especially outside of the U.S. But in the U.S., young America, it is Apple dominated. And most, by my understanding, like most like MacBooks and stuff like Mac laptops, they tend to be like higher end machinery.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's like low level, mid level range models. Well, maybe there's upper mid level, but most of them are like high end. And high end being a relative term, please, please don't come after me. The PC people will come after me.
Hey, in the comments.
And I'm one of them, but I don't want to get into specs or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but
that's not what we're here for.
There is like a uniform performance, and but all of that is reflected in the price.
Yeah,
Macs are expensive. Okay,
yeah.
All of that is reflected in the price.
Yeah.
In the PC world, because it is more open. That's just a fact. Okay.
Yeah,
it is more open.
That's design. That's the intention.
More manufacturers have access to making PC laptops and computers.
Yeah.
Right. There does exist a huge range of like hardware potential and like ease of software use and stuff like that. So you can have like literally like legitimately like $150 like laptops you pick up at Walmart, and then you can have like $10,000 super high end, ultra premium PCs, right? You know, there's the low end, there's the mid level, there's the upper level, and then there's like the super high, like unattainable, you know, level, right? You know, where you know the laptop's made out of solid gold, right? Yeah, and that can be confusing for someone that like only sticks to Apple products because all of their products are kind of around the same level. Obviously there's upper level stuff in Mac, but like most of it is kind of at the same. And again, the price reflects that.
It's luxury. Like they market it as a luxury product, and the price reflects itself, I think.
Yeah, and but for a PC, for people looking for a PC, there is a whole range of options that can be daunting, and you might be tempted to save money, right, by not getting a MacBook, but getting like a low to mid level PC. Unfortunately, the performance is going to reflect that.
Yeah, I mean, it always is. You get what you pay for, you know.
Yeah, and I liked my old laptop. I really appreciated it for the time. No, I mean it.
No,
you know, for a long time,
I get it, but like I totally understand it. It really is like you get a personal attachment. I feel like to these machines, you know.
Yeah. And yeah, unfortunately, by the end of the laptop's life, I keep saying that.
Yeah.
Like it's still functional, it still works, but I just haven't used it.
Yeah.
In a while. But by the end of its life, the boot times were absurd and the start times were really bad, and the application's startup was unacceptable.
It just got wear and tear. That's usage.
When I started noticing this, when this became like a thing for me, was I was starting the laptop next to a friend, you know, a year ago, and like Chrome was just not starting. Like I was clicking it and it was just taking forever to start. And I'm just there. Like, I'm like, okay, well, that's just normal. My laptop is warming up.
Yeah.
But a friend next to me is like, is your computer okay? And that's when I was like,
because you don't know, it's a steady progression, I think. And like, so it takes someone else to notice this kind of stuff sometimes.
It sometimes it definitely is like you're a frog in boiling water and you don't know that it's happening until you're boiling. That's sort of the first time I ever thought, okay, the laptop performance is below what most people expect for a laptop to perform.
Yeah.
And by the end of its life, it was becoming a problem because I needed stuff to start immediately, and when you have to plan for like a half hour for your laptop to start up properly, like that is a real problem, right?
Yeah, that is that's definitely the chunk of your day, you know.
That sort of fueled, especially for like Black Friday and sales and stuff coming out, like that really fueled my need. Like I got to look for a new laptop, and something that is better than my old laptop. And for that, like you really have to really when you look for stuff at Best Buy or Walmart or what have you, like you need to completely wear away like all of those machines that cost like $400, $500. I know that's, you know, for people that don't have a lot of money, that's a really hard thing to do. But if you're looking for that performance, you have to throw all that stuff away. Like you have to filter all of that out and look for at least the upper mid-level stuff that companies like Dell, HP, what's that third one there?
Dell, HP. I mean, I have a Dell. What would a third one be?
Lenovo. Lenovo. That's what I was looking for.
Lenovo.
When it came time to look for a new laptop, like I quickly realized that I have to spend $1,000 on a new laptop, and that was, you know, once the shock wears off, right? Like, and then you get the laptop in hand, you're like, okay, now I know why I paid $1,000.
Yeah.
Because so I ended up picking an HP. So I switched from Dell to HP.
And that's what you're recording on right now, right?
I am. Yeah, yes. That's the laptop that I'm currently using. I have an HP Spectre X360. I will find a page on HP's website, and I'll link it in the show notes so you guys can have a look at the specs and everything. It was really big for me to go upgrade to 16 gigabytes of RAM. Like that's bare minimum. I was not going to tolerate 8 gigabytes anymore. Yeah. And I also wanted to make sure that I was getting like the Intel Core i7, which is, you know, sort of the standard right now for PC laptops that at this level. Graphics card I was sort of ambivalent about, but it
depends on what you're doing.
I also wanted to make sure I got solid state drive because a big problem for the other laptop was that the internal lookup time for files and stuff like that
Yeah.
was just also
SSD
unacceptable.
is the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, SSD is like lightning fast, instant lookup, all your internal files. The only trouble with this laptop, even though I love it, is that the SSD is only 512 gigabytes.
Yeah.
Now, I only used 250 on my old laptop,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I didn't think that was a problem. The old laptop had a terabyte, but it was HDD. So we're going to see how I do with 512 only. I'm thinking it won't be a problem. I do a lot of cloud backup too, so it's not a big deal. But that's the only one thing that I kind of skimped on. But they don't make terabyte laptops at this level anymore. I mean, they're harder to come by than they were before, I think.
Yeah.
I think just because like people aren't looking for space anymore because of the cloud stuff. Like those cloud services are so ubiquitous now.
I don't think I've realized until I started, getting into the work world about like kind of how the cloud has really changed everything. It feels like when it comes to files, storage, all that. Everyone just acts in a different way. And obviously you've got like all the privacy concerns and whatnot wrapped up into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the world now.
Yeah, and I spent $1,000 on a new laptop. And then, like, a day later, I was telling Eli, I was like, hey, I got this new laptop. It's like, oh, look at these specs are awesome. And Eli's like, yeah, my laptop has 32 gigs of RAM, and it's actually a little too much. And
I'm flexing.
I just dropped a rack on a laptop, and I already feel envious of somebody else's machine. Like,
I'm sorry, man. It's a dope laptop. I mean, I got this laptop originally when I wanted to be an architect.
Yeah.
And I was gonna, using it for design, using it for 3D rendering, using it for a lot of these things. And yeah, no, it is been a lifesaver. It has been my favorite laptop. Like I use it all the time. I can design on it. I can 3D render on it. I can play even video games. I don't usually game on my laptop, but I could if I wanted to because it's that good.
You are running around with a Dell Xps 15, am I right?
XPS 15, yeah. Dell XPS 15. Well, we can link that one as well. But yeah, this is like, this is a desktop level piece, laptop, I would say. Yeah. Like it is, I can do anything on it. Like it is like an amazing machine. Like I use it, when I'm at home, I just have basically my setup is like I have this PC, or this laptop hooked up by HDMI to a monitor, and I just use it as my desktop because it's just that I think most people do that, but it's just that's good.
The move for sure. Yeah,
it's the move, and I love it. It can do everything I need it to do.
I mean, 32 gigs of RAM. I mean, that's just bonkers, man. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's the good stuff. It's the good stuff.
Yeah. I'm telling you, like I was all excited. I was like, oh, I got an HP Spectre. Oh, it's like a super high end, like. Oh yeah, this laptop's awesome, and you're like, oh yeah, I've had 32 gigs for a while, and I'm like, oh okay.
I'm such a snob, man. I mean, you made me sound like such a snob. Yeah, it is to me. It is so. Yeah, this laptop I can do so many things on. I live on this laptop. Especially during the pandemic.
But totally. Hey, any sudden worry that I had after you flexed on me. Any sudden worry that I had that my laptop would be underpowered completely went away after I started the thing. Because the boot time was like a second. I logged in, and now, like in this day and age, the boot time is like a second. I log in, and the application startup time is instant.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like I turn on the laptop, log in, click on Chrome, it's open.
Mm-hmm.
I click on Spotify's already open. Spotify is open. Discord is open. I can open up Illustrator.
Just like that.
Illustrator's open. Everything is just open. It just works. And
that's the beauty of modern technology.
And I just think that everyone walking around with like a $2,000 MacBook, I think that's just the reality that they live in every day. Mm-hmm. And if you are like a value conscious person that instinctively might think, hey, a $500 or $400 laptop will still get the job done, but you're walking around with these performance issues, like I think you can forget what it's like to not have those performance issues. And there's a lot to be said about like actually like really maintaining your laptop and making sure that like it's running fast all the time. And I'm sure there are a lot of problems with my old laptop that I could have maybe fixed myself. Yeah. But there is like a serious thing about like the performance and the specifications, like doing everything that you're demanding of it.
I mean, you have what you have, right? Like you have the setup you have,
Yeah.
and you have to make the most of what you have a lot of times. But I definitely agree that, like, it is, you can get into a state, like we were saying before, where you don't really realize where, like, how it can be better, or like how bad things have gotten when you're just like, you don't know what the outside is like, and you're just used to using this. And this does not just apply to laptops. This applies, I think, in general. People kind of get like that about things that they're just like, start to accept.
That is a great way to put it. Like, you forget what the outside is like. That's a really great way to put it, because I cannot believe I ever tolerated a half-hour warm-up time
Yeah.
for a machine. I cannot believe it, because I turn this laptop on, and in less than 20 seconds I'm on Chrome already, like looking
Yeah.
up stuff on the
Wow.
internet. I am already there, like less than 20 seconds. Like the thing that costs time is sometimes the fingerprint scanner doesn't read my fingerprint correctly. That is what's costing time.
Yeah.
Nothing else is costing time. Like, boot up isn't costing time. Startup isn't costing anything. Like, it's just because it's like, oh, it couldn't scan your fingerprint. Like, oh, okay,
And
I
those
gotta log in with my
fingerprint scanners are getting better too. I've noticed, back in the old days when you had the phone fingerprint scanner. I don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been getting better for sure.
Startup time is just crazy low, and I cannot believe that I ever thought, okay, I have to use my laptop at 10 because we have a Zoom meeting at 10.
Yeah.
Let me make sure it's on by 9 o'clock. Like,
yeah, that's no way to live.
And I'm telling you, if you have that for so long, that is something you get accustomed to. That's something you get used to. You don't even realize that it's wrong. You don't even realize that, like, other people don't have that. And again, like, I don't want to. A lot of this is tied to, like, how much you pay for a laptop, and people can't always pay a grand, 2 Gs for a laptop. Like, I don't want to,
Yeah, I mean, you're in the situation that you're in. Like, sometimes like I said, you gotta work with what you have a lot of times.
Yeah. But if you have the ability and you can responsibly upgrade, like, you really owe it to yourself to do that, because this Spectre is like the best piece of technology I have ever spent money on. It is incredible. It works. The screen is beautiful. Like, everything about it. Like, again, I keep zeroing in on the start time, because that is such a quality of life enhancer.
Mm-hmm.
The start time being instant. Like, you turn it on and you're already on Chrome. Like, you're already doing the work that you need to do. Like, you're already listening to music on Spotify. Like, that is such a big deal. And it's such a big deal to me because, again, like, I was accounting for 20, 30 minutes of startup time, warm up, and everything on an old laptop that was struggling to keep up with everything that I was demanding of it. And
yeah,
especially if you're in this field where you're working with, like, Adobe products, and you mentioned architecture, you're working with, like, architecture software, like, all of that is so important, like, for your machine to keep up with all of those things.